Today we talk substrate, Coco Husk.
Proper Royals.
Hey everybody, it's Adam from Proper Royals. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to take you through how I prepare my substrate, what substrate I use, and why I do. When I first started, I actually posted on one of the forums, like, why I even use substrate. I really didn't understand it other than to look kind of nice. So I'll tell you, for me, first off, I use this coconut. It's a coconut husk substrate. It's not the kind of powdery coconut that you can get. And you can buy it either in bags where it's already pulled apart, or you could buy it in these big blocks where you actually have to chip it apart. I use the big blocks, 10 pounds at a time. 10 pounds, I'll use probably 3 of these blocks a year for 13 snakes. It's cheaper. The more you buy, the cheaper it is. And the more it's compressed, which is what these blocks are, they kind of vacuum seal it together, the cheaper you can get it too. And the big breeders, not even huge breeders, but they buy it by the pallet, and you can get it cheaper and cheaper per ounce kind of deal. So coconut husk, here's why I like it, and I'll tell you, I'm not affiliated with this brand. I'm not affiliated with any of the brands. I'll tell you if I ever am. I'm not just hawking. This isn't an advertising angle on YouTube. So I use Reptichip. Again, no affiliation on it, but I've had good luck with it. But the Coco Husk I like for a couple things. I like the husk that has the bigger chips versus the dust. And it provides a few different benefits for myself and specifically for the animals. One is it helps with humidity. It keeps the humidity up in the tubs. I live in a fairly damp climate, so humidity is not a big issue for me, but I do have 4 seasons. So between the AC and the heat and different things kicking on different times a year, sometimes I do need to wet down the coconut and raise that humidity level. So it lets me do that. It really helps with some of the odors and the smells. I actually use relatively little of it. I don't coat the whole bottom of the tub for the snake. I use newspaper, and then I use about a pint cup worth of cocoa for the smaller tubs, and the bigger tubs I use 2 pints or 1 quart that I put in. And the snakes, I don't know if it's accidental or coincidental, they're pretty good about soiling the cocoa, which again helps absorb the odors, and it makes cleanup cleaner because it acts as a sponge. So without getting too detailed, those are the reasons why I like cocoa. It's also safe for the snake. If they happen to ingest a little bit, they can digest it. Not too many digestive impaction worries on it. And it's at a reasonable price. I think for 10 pounds, I pay 25 bucks landed from Amazon. And like I say, I only use 3 of those in a year. So the bad part about it is that it comes in this compressed hard block. This is, I'm halfway through this block. This is not how it comes. It comes in a nice full square compressed, but you have to break it apart. One of the hacks that I've talked about on one of the other videos is that I use a 5-gallon bucket and I prepare a lot of cocoa at one time. You got to break it apart. I only hydrate it a very little bit. Some people will do the full hydration when they break it apart. I wait to actually use it, and again, depending on the season and how much hydration I need, I wait till I actually put it into the tubs to hydrate it. But I use a bucket. I use my restaurant pipe container, and I use press and seal on the top to keep it clean and ensure that there's no gnats. So I'm going to take you through today how I prep this stuff really quickly, and I hope that it's beneficial to you, and it's certainly something that I could have used at the start of this journey from family hobby into family business. This has really become a valuable asset once I kind of put all this together. It makes cleaning really quick, and again, a common theme that you hear in my videos is cleanliness and hygiene for your animals. So couple things I use. I'll clean in between each time. So I just used up all my cocoa that was prepared, and I'm going to re-prepare or prepare more today. So I'm going to clean my bucket first. I'll spray it out, and then I'll give it a once over with, this is chlorhexidine. And maybe sometime I'll talk about those, but that's it's a reptile disinfectant, a veterinary disinfectant, chlorhexidine. People also use F10. So I'll clean it, I'll disinfect it, and then what I'll do is I use ivermectin. Please don't mess around with this stuff. There is a video that I have on quarantining, and maybe I made one on mites. I'm not sure if I did or not. Check those videos for the mix and the blend. You don't want to over concentrate this. I use this to prevent any mites in my cocoa from, in case they're in there, from getting into my collection. Let me talk about that really quickly. If you look on the forums and the chat rooms and that sort of thing, there's a lot of concern that your cocoa husk can come harboring mites. It can. Here's how that happens. Mites are not native to North America. They exist in the hobby, and they get transferred reptile shows, owners, breeders shipping them back and forth, that kind of thing. A lot of breeders have gotten into the business of being a rep-to-chip distributor and rep. And what happens is, if a breeder's collection has it and they have 3 pallets sitting near their collection of rep-to-chip that they're waiting to sell, the mites can get in there. I don't believe I've ever had that issue. I think that's more of something to bear in mind rather than an imminent threat. But what I do, and I don't use much, but once I've sprayed it out and disinfected it with the chlorhexidine, I will give a diluted coating of ivermectin in the bucket that I'll toss the cocoa chips in, okay? And then I use press and seal. So what I really am after, and that I have seen, is that the gnats love using the cocoa once it's hydrated. So I always use press and seal on top, and the ivermectin will help prevent the gnats as well. So here we go. This stuff is a pain to break apart, but I kind of crumble it, and then, like I say, I'll give just a little bit of, water in there once I get it all broken apart, but not much. And then when I put it into the tubs is when I'll spray it down, if needed, again, depending on the season and whether the snake's in shed or not. All right, I got about 2.5 gallons of cocoa husk ready to go. As you can see, like I say, I sprayed it down just a little bit. I'm gonna spray it just one more shot. It's still a bit dusty in there. And I really turn it over, try and distribute the moisture. And then the one last thing that I use, they make lids for the buckets. I find them difficult to get on and off, and they bang up my knuckles and whatnot. I just use press and seal on top. You can buy the buckets at Lowe's or your hardware store or whatever. But I recommend, again, make a buddy at a local restaurant. Local restaurants get a lot of goods in buckets. If it's a burger joint, they get pickles in their 5-gallon buckets, and they have all kinds of them. Go make friends at a restaurant. They'll hook you up, I bet. All right, so the press and seal's on. We got a good cover, and the nice thing about press and seal is that it is reusable. I just installed it, and now I can scoop out my cocoa as I'm doing my daily cleanings. of course clean the countertop. So thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed the video, if you learned something from it, you know the drill. Hook me up with a like or a subscribe. I'll continue sharing my information and my insight as I stay on this journey from family hobby to family business. Cheers to you wherever you are. I'll see you next time.